Zombies have taken over Lego City, so the president had to press the big red button. Everyone moved into bunkers underground. Today, we're going to reclaim the wasteland from zombies and raiders to rebuild Lego City, restore humankind, and retake the world. This is Lego Zombie Apocalypse City. First up, we should build some survivors. Here, we want to have some dirty, broken, and messed up clothes, which can be found in Harry Potter, Jurassic World, and the Lego Movie 2 sets. I have a bunch right here. I want them to look natural and organic. Like, this is something people would wear in an apocalypse. A comfy but improvised fit. Here we have a survivor's outfit. Maybe this person goes out into the city looking for supplies. This is the chef's outfit with a lot of dirt on the clothes, and we have the rolled up sleeves. I love these outfits. They're from Harry Potter, mainly from the Hogsmeade set, but also from other different kinds of Harry Potter sets. They make a lot of great natural clothes that are kind of generic, but also a bit dirty and destroyed. When it comes to legs, we have a few different variations here. We have the jeans with just the dirt on the knees. We have a simple ripped up pant, and we have the classic Indiana Jones pants. Let's start building some figures, shall we? Here we have them, a few figures that I built, and these people should be like survivors that are basically building a farm, rebuilding society, growing some crops, and trying to survive off the land. However, the land isn't that, the land doesn't give them that many vegetables, but they're doing their best. This guy's chopping some wood, helping out his community. He's looking a bit tired though. Here we have the armor smith. He's creating some armor for the community. He's helping the guards, giving them some outfits so they can protect the people that lives in their community. Here we have a guard. He has just been outfitted with the new armor from the blacksmith, and he looks great. He looks ready and fit for fight. It looks a bit rugged and improvised, but that's the style we're going for. So I'm happy with that look. This girl, she's carrying some buckets of water to maybe water the plants, just take care of something, feed her family. And this guy, he's the head of the settlement. So he calls the shots, and I mean, he looks hella cool. I'm gonna put this farm up on a rooftop. I think it's gonna look amazing. Very inspired by Dying Light 2.
Be respectful around here.
Pilgrim.
They're infested with alpha zombies.
Still feeling sick? Just don't.
I want to add some farm animals, because these people, as I mentioned, they are farmers. So let's give them some sheep and some pigs, so that they can live off the animals and produce some milk and eat some meat. Here we have an unfortunate pig farmer who's taking care of the pigs. Well, I'm not gonna mention it, but you can tell. You could probably figure out what he's carrying in that wheelbarrow. I feel bad for him. Here we have a sheep farmer. She's taking care of the sheep together with her dog, and I think she's doing a great job herding the sheep. I don't know how the sheep survived the apocalypse, but they did, and they're doing the best to take care of them. She seems happy with her job. Here we have them, all of the survivors at the farm settlement. This settlement is going to be on top of a roof, as I mentioned, so they're gonna do their best to survive up there. And I think they look great. They look happy, but also a bit dirty and desperate, if you know what I mean. They've done the best with their life situation. And I think it looks like they're gonna survive for a while, maybe even rebuild society. But they don't have the best security. They've got this girl protecting them with a rifle, and we have this guy with his armor. Maybe that's not enough. Let's move on to something very interesting. I love building raiders. These are brutal people that don't care about anyone but themselves. We want them to have a mean look. They need to have some bruises, some scars on their bodies, and improvised armor. We're talking leather straps on the arms with metal sheets on their legs and just improvised armors. This part is very inspired by Fallout.
Always get so jumpy after a fight.
This is a printed torso from Saber Scorpion. I think it looks great. It's actually from the Fallout game, so it fits perfect with these raiders. When it comes to legs, I want to have a different variety of legs. These legs are just regular cut-off shorts. A lot of improvised clothing from Vikings and from medieval figures. This head, I think it's from the Lego Movie 2. It looks absolutely amazing with that eye patch and the scar. Here we have Abraham Lincoln's apocalypse hat and beard. This torso goes great with this head, and I think this makes the perfect raider. Let's build some more of them. I really want to have a wide variety of different characters when it comes to the raiders, so I'm implementing a lot of different parts, a lot of different helmets and torsos. These raiders are looking great. We got a big variety of different kind of figures. They've all got their own improvised armors and they're looking mean as hell. Let's take a look at all of them. Here we have a few different guys with lots of different improvised armors and a lot of fun haircuts. I think they turned out great. These guys, they also look great. They look a bit less intimidating, but they do have their gear, and this guy with the Magnum 44 and the eye patch, he looks absolutely amazing. He's one of my favorite characters. Let's take a look on how I built all of the melee weapons, because I designed them myself, and they are improvised weapons from different video games. I just threw a bunch of parts together and they turned out looking actually pretty good. Here we have a license plate that's made into an axe. And here we have a sledgehammer. I think it looks great. We have a spiky thing with a hubcap on it. And a speed limit sign. We got this sledge and we have the modified version, which is a super sledge with a jet engine on the back. We have this axe with a crowbar and some different stuff that just looks apocalypse vibey. I think they work perfect for the raiders. Got this claw weapon and this hook weapon. Anything can be turned into a weapon if you're creative enough. That's the Wasteland style. Here we have a mean bunch. This guy with a sledgehammer, he looks tough as nails. I do not want to mess with him. And this guy next to him, he just looks straight up angry. And here we have my favorite raider, the one with the scars and the mohawk. These people, they're a bit crazier. This guy with the mohawk and the leopard unitard, he looked kind of silly. Next to him is the kind of scary Five Nights at Freddy-esque bear. And we also have the Raider Sheriff, the boss of the Raiders. He looks kind of funny and goofy, but I still wouldn't mess with him. Here we have some more. We have this guy with a tire on his shoulder as protection, and then we have this guy with the caveman outfit, and this girl with a speed limit sign as a weapon, and we have the flamethrower dude. Overall, we have a lot of good looking raiders and they look quite scary. I'm very happy with the results and I think we managed to get a wide variety in different looking raiders. I'm very excited to place these out into the city that I'm building. It's gonna look great and I'm gonna give them their own camp. A few of these guys are actually cannibals. That's horrible. This guy is afraid of his life. I would be too. Look at that face. It's horrifying. These raiders are dangerous as hell, and people in the wasteland do not want to mess with them. Great, let's move on to another settlement. This is on the other side of town, and here we have the big city. Some kind of central hub for trading and traveling around the wasteland. With improvised housing, no food or water, desperate measures are necessary. Easy living? This ain't. These people need to look like they're from the big city, so a bit more put together, but also a bit more cutthroat. I'm talking leather jackets, hoodies, and fancy suits. Well, not that fancy anymore. People don't have it easy out here in the wasteland. These are the people who just live on a day-to-day basis. They're struggling to get by and just push through each day to survive. The big city isn't easy. I wanted these people to be a bit more rugged and run down, as if they are the common folk, like in the medieval times. This guy looks a bit shady. I bet he will give you advice on how to solve problems you don't even have, with products you don't even need. Behind him is a Brahmin from Fallout, which is a two-headed cow. Why does it have two heads, you might ask? Well, radiation. This guy, he's just happy to be here. He's delivering sheep from the farm settlement, and he looks, it looks like he knows what he's doing. We talked about the shady trader before. I think this guy is 10 times more shady. I can picture him in an alley tricking people with the ball in the cup trick all day long. Here we have the dirty and greasy chef. This guy is just preaching about some new made-up religion and hoping that people will join his cult. I wonder what it says in that book of his.
Talos is the true god of man.
This is another one of my favorites. It looks like Nick Fury did alright in the apocalypse and adapted the cowboy lifestyle. Good for him. This character ended up looking way too cool. I don't know what's up with all the cowboy hats, but I realized that I gave all the leaders cowboy hats. What are you gonna do? Here we have the hardworking people. The ones who make sure that the place can run, working on the technical stuff of the settlement, the bookkeeping, and just honest, hardworking folk. I gave some of these characters tank tops and torsos with a lot of muscles, because I wanted them to look like they really worked hard. The others I focused on giving suitable clothing for their profession, such as the doctor and the bookkeeper. Here we have a bunch of troublemakers looking like they mean business. Leather jackets and chains, I would steer clear of them. There are way more people out there. Let's build some people that actually stay on the road and do what they need and can to survive this harsh world. Here we need to look at some other stuff like improvised armors for durability and safety. We also need to look at how to build some backpacks, so that's going to be exciting. Let's take a look at these guys. This guy, he is traveling with his dog and he has basically everything he needs on his back. The dog does as well. This guy, he looks like a rugged survivor. He's done this before and he's done it for a very long time. These two guys, they look a bit more scared and well, they probably know what they're doing, but they are also struggling to survive out in the wasteland. We got some backpacks for them and they're traveling with everything they got. This guy even has a keyboard on his chest as armor. I don't think it's gonna last. This guy got a better idea of having a license plate on his chest for protection. He has the miner's helmet for that extra light when it's dark out in the night. He has a chainsaw for a weapon, and that thing looks nasty. Well, this guy, it looks like he's been through some shit. He's just walking around with a shopping cart with everything he owns. By the looks of it, he doesn't own that much. And he's been out here for quite a while with that beard that he's got going. This is a real survivor. He has his gas mask and his hat, and he even has a custom rifle with a bayonet on it. I think he's gonna be safe out in the wasteland. Today we're building a Lego zombie apocalypse city, if you didn't already catch that. We're currently looking at my old Lego city, and I'm thinking we should rebuild some of these houses. So let's start by destroying them completely. That didn't work, but let's rebuild them instead. My idea is to put a plane in the building, and I think this will look really cool. These houses were exposed to the bomb, so I want them to be destroyed and overgrown. Here we have some good plants and fun parts to get that overgrown look. I think I went a bit overboard, but you get the idea. I want to build these houses so that it looks like the nature has taken over again, and the planet is just taking back what's hers. Let's also add some interior to them so that the exposed parts look even more alive, or I should say dead.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Yeah, that's more like it. There will be a lot of zombies in this city. The bomb did not work as planned. Let's add those zombies to the interior and finish up this hospital build. We have a lot of floors to cover, so let's bring in as much diversity as possible on these floors. There's some weird stuff going on top of the roof. Let's take a look at this build. We're done with the hospital, and I think this hospital turned out great. It went from this to this. Now it looks like an apocalypse hospital that has been taken over by zombies, nature, plants, everything. I think it looks really sweet. This specific build ended up being very inspired by The Last of Us. The whole overgrown thing and the broken walls and the zombies pouring out. I think I was a bit too inspired by The Last of Us. We have a lot of zombies in this build, and I tried to build some clickers from The Last of Us, but that's difficult. This hospital is full of zombies. We've got zombies everywhere, on every floor, but on the top floor we have something else. These guys are called super mutants. They're big, green, ugly monsters. They're pretty stupid, and they eat people. So here this guy is cooking up some some human stew, and I think this guy in the cage is waiting to be next. Overall, this ended up being a really cool build. I really like the plane stuck in the building. Next up, we have this cool Octane office building. Let's destroy it and rebuild it. They're developing the new Tile Phone 14 Pro. Well, not for long. This one ended up being very Fallout inspired instead. We've got the whole futuristic office building with the big billboards on the front, and everything is just falling apart. Looks like we have some guests on the roof on this building as well. These are the guys from Up. I think they took a wrong turn when trying to find that beautiful paradise location and landed right in the middle of our zombie apocalypse city. However, it looks like they're capable enough to fight off the undead and survive the apocalypse. Next up, we should attack something that is quite precious to me. This video went viral on TikTok. It got over 18 million views. And I basically just built a burger restaurant. So let's rebuild that into an apocalypse version. So let's build this one on TikTok instead. By the way, you should follow me on TikTok, where I do Lego ASMR. Wow, that looks great. I hope you enjoyed that ASMR section. Here's a before and here's an after. Let's move on to something very important for this video. Planning. I know this isn't the most fun part, but I gotta admit, I thought it was quite fun to do. I have to sketch up how the city is actually gonna look. We need to do some planning around where the houses will be, where the roads will be, how the city will even work. So this is what we're gonna do now. We're gonna find some base plates and we're gonna lay out the entire grid of the city to figure out how big it's gonna be and where every single house is going to fit. So, this ended up much bigger than I planned from the beginning, but that's okay, projects always do. That's the fun part, you never know what to expect. Let me clarify my sketch a bit. The gray represents the roads that's going through the city, and then the dark tan represents the abandoned, the empty buildings, and the blue represents the places where people are actually living. I hope I made that a bit more clear. Let's start by building those roads. So these roads are great for customization. I know a lot of people don't like the new road system that LEGO City has provided, but I do really like them because you can customize them to the maximum. I'm using the Mills road plate system. You can look it up online if you want to do the same. And I've actually built a lot of those for my other projects. So today we do not have to build them. We're actually just gonna rebuild them and destroy the roads. My life has changed a lot the recent years, so in the middle of this project I actually went to a LEGO event. I usually go to these and work at them, so this unfortunately came up in the middle of my project, but I thought, why not build the roads and keep building the project at the actual event? When back home again, it was time to put out all the roads, because now we're done with them. So let's see how it all turned out. Alright, you can clearly see that I was lying. We still have a few roads left, but that's actually the bridge that we're gonna build later. So don't you mind that. They turned out great. I really like the look of it. They're not too cramped, but there's still a lot of stuff going on. We'll take a closer look at the roads later. Let's actually focus on one of our main builds. This is our farm settlement. The big settlement. Look at this, I even made a few sketches. It looks beautiful, man. I'm actually proud of this, it looks really cool. It's time to build the first group of survivors. Let's build a big base for this settlement. These guys are going to be farmers and doing their best to grow food in the apocalypse, with zombies around every corner, so their solution is to build the farm on the roof. The farm will be on top of a big building with stores on the bottom floor. I think this will be a really cool and unique way of building an apocalypse city. Here we have a diamond store with a clicker in it, from The Last of Us again. Let's move on to the next floor. My plan is to make the building 3 floors. And this floor and the next floor will be an office. It's decorated with some desks and some cool office stuff, I guess. Let's add some cute pictures, a picture of a cat, and some windows, and the last floor.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
That ended up really great, actually. It's very inspired by Fallout, as many buildings are in this project apparently. Speaking of Fallout, look who's here. It's a vault dweller. And over here we have some zombies, or in the Fallout world, ghouls. I think we should move on to the next part of this build. Gang, it's time to up the ante. So this next building we're building is a big, grey, boring office building with a lot of destroyed walls and decaying facades. A building that is not gonna stand forever, and it's gonna be big. There's a lot of things to do, so get in there, hang in there. I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself as well, because this project is getting out of hand right now. This building is bigger than I planned. I won't do that much interior in this building because it's actually so huge. I might do it in the future, but you're still not gonna see it. I'm gonna hide a little interior here, but that's just because it's gonna be exposed to the outside. The focus will be on the rooftop, where the survivors actually live. As we're closing in on the end result, I'm so regretting this build, but it's gonna look cool. It's finally time to put everything together and see how it turned out. I'm very excited. How's that for a big building? Damn, it looks good. It turned out really, really good and really cool. Let's measure it and see how big it actually is. Alright, so this is insane. It's actually 45 centimeters high and 50 centimeters wide. Now that the house is done, let's take a look at the actual settlement at the top. Here's the sketch and how I want it to look. I really want it to look improvised and like they did what they could with the resources that they had. With an almost medieval style to it, actually. I think it will look really cool. We start by building our main house, the biggest house on the roof, where most of the people live. This will act as a town hall, if you can call it that, with a few levels and a windmill on top. We need some farm plots, so let's go ahead and add that next to our main building. Here we will keep some pumpkins, corn and other vegetables. I think we need a scarecrow to keep away those irradiated crows as well. Containers make great houses if you really put your mind to it. So let's make a cozy house out of a container. A very common thing in movies and games. One final house and some more details, and then I think we've got it. This one should be built on the edge of the roof with a balcony. Walkway on the edge so that people can keep an eye out for threats on ground level. It sounds much better than it will look. We're done! This is our first settlement and it looks absolutely insane. It turned out so much bigger than I planned from the beginning. And I like it. I think these people are safe from the zombies down below. For a while at least. There's a lot of fun details to look at in this build, but I don't think I have time in this video to show you everything. So as usual, I will show you every detail in another video. Let's take a look at what's going on back down on the ground level and build some surrounding buildings that have been abandoned and destroyed by the bombs. Not everyone can have it as good as the people up on the rooftops, you know? These people, they're just struggling to get by, doing whatever they can to survive. But the world is harsh now. There's zombies everywhere, there's a lack of food, you gotta do what you gotta do. And with friends like these, I mean, desperate times calls for desperate measures. That's all I can say. Man, what a life. Good food, warmth and comfort, friends and family, and just a nice community overall. Of course I'm being a bit sarcastic. This is not looking that great. I do not want to live like these guys. Yeah, it looks really cool, right? This house really got hit by the bomb. It looks completely destroyed. I think it's time to put everything together. Let's take a look at how it actually looks so far and what we've got. As you can see, we still have a few empty plots here. We have a lot of buildings that we actually haven't built yet. So my plan is to do that in the next part. Lego City has been taken over by zombies, so our survivors had to move up on the rooftops where they built their new homes. But there are even more dangers out in the world, and today we're facing them head on. Today we're continuing on our Lego Zombie Apocalypse City, set after the president dropped the bomb on Lego City. We're retaking the wasteland and rebuilding the city again. This is what we have so far. So in this video we're finishing what we started. So far this already looks really cool, but we need to improve it and we need to finish it because it's only halfway done. But first of all, I need to move this Lego City into another room because I think this room looks messy and I talked about it last time. We need to change the room. So this will be our new cool display room where we even have a Fallout poster. And this is what we've got so far. But enough about what we got. Let's build a new house. Let's build the bookstore. My plan is to place the bookstore right here. And it will be inspired by The Last of Us. I want to lay a foundation first so we can get the house a bit elevated. I want to work with dark green and that cool yellow orange. That would make for a great color combination. Let's call this bookstore Race Occult Books. I really think this build needs an interior, so let's add some abandoned bookshelves, some other furniture, and a spider on the counter. Let's also add some leaves and make it look really abandoned. I want there to be a big hole in the wall so that we can see into the bookstore. It's a really great way to show that interior without having to have the building open. Let's also add some tiles outside and some more details like trash cans. Let's add a second floor, and this one we're gonna switch up the color and we're gonna add some windows because this will be an apartment. I love to work with those AC units and details on the house. I want this house to look like one of the modular building sets. You know, the ones that you can get the Parisian restaurant or the green grocer. I want it to fit with those and have that vibe, but be a bit more detailed and have my own style to it. Let's add another AC unit, finish those walls. Let's go for one more floor. Let's make it look the same way, but have a different interior and a bit different destruction to the walls. Let's add another AC unit and work on some interior for this one. I want there to be a survivor in this room. Maybe a guy that's hanging out there and has been living there for a while. I think that would look really cool. Let's make this place look like he temporarily lives here, so he's been staying here for a night or two. Ray's occult books have seen better days. I'm very happy with the color scheme of this build. It looks really nice. The colors really complement each other. Let's take a closer look on what's actually going on in this build. We have a billboard on the roof that announces a new book. We have some graffiti on the wall, and almost every window seemed to be boarded up. This place got it bad before the apocalypse. This guy, he's still doing his job, but it looks pretty abandoned. Looks like he had some kind of D&D event before everything went to shit. He's still sitting behind that counter waiting for a customer, and here we have one. A zombie. Probably not the customer he wanted. We have a one-bedroom apartment up here on the second floor. This is a pretty sad place. It looks a bit luxurious though. Let's take a look at the top floor where we have our guy grilling a fish. And it looks like he's staying there for one night or maybe two. He's just passing by. He's probably trying to get to the big settlement in the city. And that's our bookstore. I'm very happy with this build. Hey, let's move on to another build. This one is an actual Lego set. It's called Assembly Square, and it's one of those modular buildings that I was talking about earlier. This has a European style to it. I don't have time to build this, so I'm actually gonna let my girlfriend build it. This is a really cool set, so I wanted to build it, but I didn't have time because this project is getting out of hand. I'm doing a lot of different things and there was a lot to do. This set includes 3 houses in one, which is really cool, and every house has 3 floors, so there's a lot to build. After 6 hours, she was done. I think this will fit perfect into our Lego Apocalypse City, but we need to rebuild it into an Apocalypse version. I've seen a lot of people rebuild this, so there's a lot of inspiration out there, such as Sugar Bricks version and Lego Magician. They've done great designs, but I'm gonna do my own version. I want to destroy the ground and add some planks to the windows, and that should do it. We're done. That went fast. Well, I sped it up a bit. We have a few survivors over here. They're trying to figure out where they're gonna go, but things are not going their way and the zombies have probably noticed them. Up here on the roof we have a sniper, and I think he's aiming for our survivors. I have a concern with modular buildings, and that's the walls. They never look great on the outside because they're meant to be connected, so I'm gonna build an extra wall to cover that awful exterior. But this also gives us a chance to play with an alleyway, and that's really fun. Let's add a sign and let's add some details. By connecting this to the office that we built in the previous video, we now have one street. That looks very dangerous. This guy got caught by a zombie while doing graffiti. Not a good idea, man. Let's actually start doing something and build something. So I want to sketch up a cool raider camp. Raiders are very common in Fallout, and they are the bad guys basically. They take whatever they want and they steal and they do whatever they want. So here we have a junkyard, and here I want to build a red rocket, which is very famous for the Fallout franchise. It is a gas station and it will be our main raider base. The idea of this camp is that the raiders took over a junkyard and they built fences around it, and they are pretty savage, so they have heads on display. They are building the fence out of scrap from the cars and everything like that. Then we have the red rocket, which is the main building, as I said, and this will act as our headquarters for the raiders. This is where they live. The style of this is very 50s, so it looks like a 50s diner, but it's a gas station. I love that aesthetic. We have a lot of difficult things to manage here, so the window here was a bit difficult to build. We have some tile floors, and then we're gonna add this power armor station, which is the yellow station over here. This is where you can fix up and repair your power armor. Let's add a roof and that iconic text that says Red Rocket, and the iconic Red Rocket, of course. This was a lot of fun to build and play with techniques. Let's add some more cars and some more junkyard vibey things. We also need to add a place where they can eat. So here's the kitchen area where they sit and dine with their friends and have a good time. Done. Wow. This place turned out really cool and actually a bit scary. Let's take a look at what's going on. We have this guy jamming on the electric guitar, living his dream life. We have our dinner guests here. Eating some kind of blood sausage? Is that Danish sausage or is that... Oh. Guys, I think these might be cannibals.
When you turn up, you're dead. I know you're here.
Alright, so maybe I wouldn't want to go to dinner with these guys, but they seem to have their life figured out. This guy is just chasing a rat with his axe. I hope he doesn't plan on eating it. However, it's better than eating people. This guy is taking some notes in his adventure book. I don't know if I would like to read that diary though. The red rocket looks absolutely wonderful, but there's something on the roof. Oh, this guy has been trapped here for a long time. I'm happy with the design of the fence because we got that homemade look with the junkyard details. You can tell that these guys are raiders by their mohawks and their face paints and the heads on spikes. Over here we have a sign that says Ross the Boss. I guess that's this guy. I would not want to mess with him with his 3 dogs. That's it for the junkyard. I would say that this turned out to be a place where you don't want to live and you would steer clear of this place. Let's move on to some infrastructure. That's very fun, said no one ever, but we're gonna make it fun. Because building destroyed roads, that's one of the biggest parts of building an apocalypse city. Woo! We should take a look at the overpass. It was unlucky to collapse when the bombs dropped, so I'm going for a Fallout-inspired road here. But we need to rebuild it a whole lot more, where it's just collapsing and there's several cars left on it. I want to work with a lot of wedge plates and make it look really destroyed, but also realistic. We want that destruction to look like it's been going on for a few years. So there's moss growing out and there's some plants. I think we can do this. Then we need to add some fences so that people don't fall off the bridge. And let's add that broken off section with some broken rusty rebar. I really like where this is going. Let's finish it off with a few details and connect everything together. It's really coming together. Now let's add those cars that I was talking about. Every overpass seemed to have one of these. It's just directions where to go in the city with a few signs. I want this bridge to look as sketchy as possible. You do not want to walk here, unless you're really brave. An overpass needs an underpass. Let's build that part. I want there to be a road going through under the bridge, and then I want there to be some kind of camp next to it. Working on these destroyed roads really messes with my thumbs. Anyways, let's add some pillars so we can actually make that overpass into an overpass. I found these sandbags. They're not official Lego, but I hope you'll forgive me. Down here, it seems we have 2 guys in power armor. What are they running from? Oh, a bear. I would be scared too. Yaoguais are not to mess with. Under the bridge here next to the road, I want there to be a camp where people actually live. So they will have a few dogs and they will live their best life down here. Well, probably not their best life because they're under a bridge in an apocalypse, but you know what I mean. I like to work with wedge plates. They are great for doing terrain and giving that extra detail to the ground. Let's add a guy with a shopping cart and put everything together. To be honest with you, this part was a bit sketchy because I didn't know if it was gonna hold. There we have it. If I didn't know any better, I would say that this was ripped straight off a Fallout game. This guy has seen some stuff. He's traveled wide and far to get here. Hopefully he won't be disappointed. It looks like there's a Fallout shelter close by. This guy, he didn't make it through the apocalypse. Not everyone does. The bridge is basically exactly how I imagined it. We have a sign to the hospital that's gonna be nearby. We have this guy from Vault 111, which is the main vault in Fallout 4, the video game. Underneath the bridge, there seems to be something else going on. These guys from the Brotherhood of Steel in power armor, they are very scared of this bear, also known as Yaoguai in the Fallout universe. Next to them, well, these people don't have a care in the world. They are just living here with their dogs and having a good time. They probably don't have the best food conditions, however. Maybe they also eat the dog food. But they seem to enjoy good music. They're just hanging out, living there. We have this guy who's coming back with some supplies, with a supply run. This this shopping cart took 3 attempts to design. It took me a while, but we landed it. Here we have some clothes on a clothing line. They're drying them probably. And they've got a spider friend. I would not want to live there. This build straight out of Fallout. And I think we should change the name for the video to Fallout City. Then one day, my friend Albin showed up to help me with the city. We got to know each other on Lego Masters, and ever since then, we've been very close friends, and we've been doing a lot of builds together, so he's gonna help out on this video. He also helped me out, figuring out that this isn't gonna work. We need a new design, so I'm gonna move things around, and hopefully we can figure out a better layout for the city. We're just gonna switch the overpass, because I think it didn't look good. So back to the drawing board. After a while of sketching and thinking, we had a solution. Now all we had to do was move everything according to the new sketch, and it should work out pretty good. The new idea is to have the overpass not connected to the city, but have the main road go underneath the overpass. Perfect. Now we can take a look at the old sketch versus the new sketch. This is the more improved one, and we've moved some things around. I think this is gonna work out great. Hold up, before we move on, I think there's some things we need to fix from the old video. I have a few buildings that didn't quite get interiors, so let's work on an interior for the office building. This is a really cool office building that looks a bit modern, but also like it fits in the Fallout universe. It has a lot of potential, but we need to fix those interiors because right now it's empty. So let's do something about that. We have a lot of floors to cover, but I'm thinking we should make this into an office where there are chairs and there's meeting rooms and there's boardrooms, all those boring things, but I think we can make it look really good. By placing tiles like this, we get the natural destroyed look. Let's also add some tables and chairs to get that board meeting that I was talking about. Another room, and let's make this a bit different, but still a meeting room. We should add some fun things like a vending machine, that's of course out of order, and some other details. The last floor, I'm thinking the boss's office, so this should be a bit more fancy with black furniture, and that's it. You're now looking at the more improved version of our office building. This is our previous version, and this is our new version. I added this long green vine that goes along the building up to the sign, because I think that really shows that nature took over. And these boardrooms, well, people are not sitting there being bored anymore, they are abandoned. Not this floor though, this guy is out looking for some supplies and maybe he found something interesting. He has a really interesting armor made out of a keyboard, maybe he found it at the office. These guys are camping out on the roof, taking some time relaxing from the zombies. I don't know if that fire is a good idea though, they might get some unwanted attention. Overall, we're done with the office building. Let's move on. Let's do another quick build before we move on to the big city settlement. This is a parking lot for our burger restaurant. While moving things around, I realized that this spot was completely empty now, so we had to add something. So this will be a parking lot for the burger restaurant that we built in the previous video. And this will basically just be an abandoned parking lot with 2 guys fixing up their old car. They're out on a mission looking for some supplies and maybe their car broke down. That's it. Finally, the build I've been wanting to do but also dreading because this is a really large build. We're gonna build a big city. Starting off with a few houses, this is gonna be an overcrowded city with a lot of houses and a lot of people because this is our main city. Let's start by adding a doctor and her assistant robot. These guys having a lunch break on the roof. And next to the doctor I want to build an old lady's tea shop, but this house is going to be a bit tilted, so we have to have that plate that can spin on the bottom. I want to build a different variety of houses with an improvised look. To have the city look like it was built from scrap, but also that it's been standing here for a while. Adding a porta potty into a telephone kiosk, I think that's just silly and I love it. Let's add some people to the street, and this is only the first plate out of 4 that will be the same size. So you get the sense of the scale. We're still going for that medieval style, but also Fallout style, Last of Us, Dying Light. There's a lot of inspiration here. Let's add a kitchen area where we have a seafood restaurant with a chef and their secret sauce. Here next to them we have the weapons dealer. I want this to be an olive green so we can have that military look. And let's add some signs and some other details. This building is gonna be really cool because I want to place a bus on the roof. And then expand even more and add a little house on the roof of the bus and then some satellite dishes. Yeah, you see, this project is getting out of hand. Let's add some figures. There sure are gonna be a lot of figures because I want this to be a lively town. This is our main city. Next up, a submarine house. Yeah, of course. It's a Fallout city. It can be whatever you want. Houses can come from literally anything. This part looks like a harbor, and this is also where they're selling fish, so it makes sense. My man is cutting up some fish for the local townsfolk to provide the city with food. I personally don't like fish that much, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I wonder where they found that fish because there's no water around. Anyway, more houses. This house is a bit taller, sand green with a few scrap parts, and next to it we have this brick house with a tile roof, and we have the farm next to it. It's a very small farm in comparison to the big farm settlement that we build on top of the roof. That's why they have a trading system with the other farm. Let's add another house, but this is an old house from the city that was here before. Add some figures and we're done. Let's put everything together and take a look at how our Lego city is actually looking. I like the look of this. Wow, now that's an apocalypse city if I've ever seen one. It really looks like everyone in town gathered together and built something out of what they could. This place looks really cool. They've improvised everything and they've built things out of things that they found, and they did what they could with the resources that they had. And I like it. This is, to be honest, probably one of the coolest things that I've ever built. It's very inspired by apocalypse-themed games, and mostly Fallout, of course, because I keep coming back to that. It's always Fallout, but that's my favorite game, so no complaints there. This one ended up being a combination of Megaton and Diamond City from Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. There's a lot to uncover in this city and a lot to see. I'll actually do another video on the whole city and go through every single detail. Because as I said, there's a lot to see and a lot to uncover. Like this man, getting robbed in an alleyway. I feel really bad for him. This guy taking a shower? Well, let's take a look at it in another video. And now, let's put everything together. Putting everything together is always the most interesting part. I'm very excited to see this. And I hope you are too. 2 months later, we have it. I spent 2 months building a huge Lego apocalypse city inspired by Fallout, Dying Light 2 and The Last of Us. It was a struggle and I had to put my best Lego thumbs at work. But in the end, we finally did it. With the size of roughly 1 by 3 meters big, 12 unique builds, this massive city is done. Today we're going to take a look at all the details and everything we can find in the city. So grab a bucket of popcorn, strap in and enjoy the ride. So this is my second Lego city that I've built. This one is apocalypse themed. The first one was GTA themed. So I like where this is evolving. This is a really chaotic city. There's a lot going on and there's a lot of inspiration from video games such as Fallout, Dying Light and The Last of Us. We are going to start by taking a look at the Dying Light 2 inspired build that is taking place on a rooftop, which is a farm. It's a farm settlement on top of a rooftop. I think this is a really cool idea, a unique way to build a settlement. These people are farmers, they live off the land, well, what little land is left. To keep themselves safe from the zombies, they decided to build their house and their settlement on top of a roof. A quite big office building with a jewel store and a coffee shop. Just like Bethesda, the game developers, I like to tell stories with skeletons. I think it's a fun little thing that they do, so I wanted to include it in my build as well. A lot of skeletons in different places, weird places, doing various things. I like that I added this donut here. It really shows that this is a coffee shop and it's overgrown. We have a lot of different characters. Here are Ellie and Joel from The Last of Us, getting chased by a clicker and some zombies. I think I did a great job with the characters. Here we have another skeleton in an office. He's just sitting there. Maybe he was worried that the stock market crashed and then the bombs crashed into him. Yeah, bad joke. I have a lot of office interiors here. I like to design offices, I realized, because I've built a lot of office interiors for these builds. Here we have a vault dweller with his dog. He's from a shelter, from a Fallout vault, where he's been living and surviving. These are zombies. I would have gone for ghouls, but zombies were already the theme, so I've chosen to keep sticking with the zombies. In here we have the interior of the jewel store. We have another clicker here, and a zombie trying to purchase some diamonds. The clicker is just Groot with his head turned around. It's very stupid, but I think it works. Let's take a look at the actual farm settlement on top of the roof. This one is very improvised. There's a lot of houses that's just put together with scrap metal and wood. There's a sheep on the roof here, there's a seagull. There's a lot of things. This is a messy place and people just leave their stuff lying around. It's a very cramped settlement and they live right on the edge of the roof, so they're really living dangerously up here. However, they seem to be enjoying themselves. We have farmers taking care of the animals like sheep and pigs, and they're feeding them, doing everything they can, and doing everything as they would if this was a farm on the ground level, but it's on the roof, which makes it a bit weird. I wonder where he will dump that. I really took inspiration from post-apocalyptic worlds. That's like everything is horrible, but they're making the best out of the situation. I don't know what she's cooking up, but the food, it looks a bit chunky. This lady is adding a carrot to the soup, and I think it will taste much better after she's done that. I'm really happy with this farm. They made some farm plots with carrots and pumpkins, and that orange color really stands out, making this build look a bit better. The scarecrow doesn't seem to help, however, because there are still crows there. This is a farm settlement, so I wanted to give this that western vibe. They have hats and they have ponchos and a bit cowboy western vibe from the people living here. For example, this is the sheriff. He's the boss of this place. This is one of my favorite houses. This is the container house. I love the sunflower outside, and I like that this guy is trying to paint it to cover up all those centuries of rust. But we also have a medieval look to this place, because this is the blacksmith. He's actually making armor for the guards. Up here we have the power generator. This guy is protecting the generator, but there's a seagull on it, so I think it will get fried. He's having a noodle break and just watching out, looking at the people. This is one of the guards guarding the convenience store. And this sign is actually a custom sign that I made myself. He seems happy to guard this place. And I'm very happy with the color combination and the details of the road signs. Everything on this build I'm very happy with. Down here we have this woman doing some trading. I think she's a scavenger who's going out to the wasteland looking for supplies, trading with the local folk. She has various different things, like the statue, a Mountain Dew, a mountain brick, and even this robot R2-D2 unit from another planet. I wonder how she got that. I tried to add some cool exterior details to the facades, like these windows where you can have a lookout, and some car parts, some metal structures, just to make it apocalypse-y. Up here we have the windmill. My friend Albert, he helped me build this, and it really puts that extra spice into this build. Makes it stand out a bit. And that was our farm settlement. I would have wanted to go into even more detail, but there's a lot of things to cover. If we take a look at what's going on next to the farm settlement, we have a burger joint. I call it a burger joint because it's just a fast drive-by place where you park your car and go in and get your burger. But it has definitely seen better days. These two guys are out here scavenging for parts from this car, or maybe they're even trying to get it to start. And this is the new Ford from the Lego Harry Potter series. I wanted this place to feel a bit more empty because there's a lot of details in the rest of the city, so you need what's called negative space, where there's just room to breathe. This place has been overgrown and taken over by crows and plants and spiders. I made these crows myself. It's a very simple build. You just need a few parts and you can make them sit down or fly. Over here we have a guy that tasted the burger back in the day, but he couldn't handle it. I think he died from it being too gross. Big Belly Burger is something from the DC universe, but I really like that sign, and hey, why not do another crossover? Over here we have our chef chasing a rat. I think it's the Ratatouille chef, and he needs to get back under that hat. Or the chef just is very hungry. I added a lot of rats to this build and a lot of spiders because, well, there probably would be. Let's move over to the office. This is our big, gray, boring office building, inspired by the destroyed buildings in Fallout. It's just a regular office building that's been boarded up and covered with some plants. Over here we also have an Octan sign that I designed myself. Octan is a big corporation that just does everything. In here we have a meeting room, we have a security room, and we have the big office where the boss would sit. This guy is out scavenging for stuff. And these guys are just on the rooftop, hanging out, taking a break from everything. They should probably not light that fire though, because it will attract more zombies or people. Let's go back down to the road and see what else we can find. Some zombies is chasing a man here, and he's running towards the water source, where the raiders have found water. They managed to break the fire hydrant so that the water is actually pouring out, restoring nature on the roads. You can see the green. Well, the raiders are very thirsty, so they need to grab some bottles and fill them up ASAP. If the water runs out, what are they gonna do? There's probably not that much water to find in the waste. We move further down, and here we have an alleyway with a zombie creeping out from it. This alleyway is very sketchy, and this guy died doing graffiti. You should not do graffiti in your local town. The zombie just devoured him, and I added some dark red as blood. I've started to experiment with adding brick-built blood, and I really like how it looks. Usually I would use fake blood from like theater blood. That's actually a paste. These raiders are trying to fight off some zombies while protecting the water. The water is just pouring out, and everyone wants to get to that water. Over here we have another sign that I've designed. I actually added even more stickers to it, and putting stickers on stickers, I know that's not a thing that people like, but it looks like people have been doing graffiti on it, and it looks really cool. Over here we have another pop culture reference. This is Rick Grimes on his horse delivering his duffel bag of weapons, but he's getting overrun by zombies, as seen in the first episode of The Walking Dead, or at least the first season, I don't know. I'm reviewing every separate build separately, so let's take a look at the assembly square that I rebuilt into a slightly more apocalyptic version. This is still basically just assembly square, but I added some boards to the windows, and I destroyed some windows by putting a chair through it. I just destroyed this, but modified it into a place that would look abandoned but also boarded up. Roses, I changed color on the leaves, and I made one be on the floor. I also added this quarantine tape, and a few survivors trying to find some supplies but getting surprised by zombies. As you can see, the facade is basically the same. I added this hang bridge just to get that extra storytelling thing where they've actually been here a lot and they are trying to get over from one side to the other. This guy is out looking for survivors to snipe, because he just wants their sweet loot. And these guys found out that there are zombies around the corner, so they should probably run. Just a few simple survivors. I would guess that these are inexperienced survivors from the farm settlement trying to scavenge. Some zombies have heard them and they're turning around. The survivors better run. I like this little part of the city. It looks the most like Lego City compatible, so it would fit in a Lego City, but it's modified into an apocalypse version. The other parts that I've built, they are more extreme and would not fit into the modular city Lego City builds. We have some signs that I'd made from, well, stickers, but also I got them from a Lego catalog and cut out just one part that I wanted to be a sign. This guy was trying to do a Banksy on the wall, but he didn't quite survive. And as I said, I really like dark red as blood if you use tiles. Next to Assembly Square we have a very Last of Us inspired house. I actually looked at houses from The Last of Us, the video game. I looked at pictures and took a lot of inspiration from that. So this is Ray's Occult Books. And it's an abandoned bookstore with apartments on the top. This sign that says Once Upon a Brick is from a storybook Lego set, and it was a perfect fit for this bookstore. This place has gone under quarantine by the city. Judging by the condition of this place, I think they were right to do it. This is one of my own stickers, and I think it looks really good to have it as a sign that sticks out from the building. Let's flip it around and have a look at the side of the building. I added some balconies and some broken windows. I worked with a lot of masonry bricks for this build, with both dark green and nougat, and I think that color combination looks great. Inside we have a quite detailed interior actually. I found this cool brawls thing. It's from a Lego catalog and I cut that piece out and put it behind a window. And that makes it look like it's actually a poster. Here we are with the storytelling of skeletons again. This guy's been working here for quite some time now. I think he's doing overtime by now. There are spiders crawling in and we have a big hole in the wall as well, and we have some bookshelves. And this is the classic CMF zombie from the collectible series. I really like the looks of this guy. This newspaper is also from a CMF, but a different one, a different zombie, and this is a custom one. Let's take a look at the other floors. Second floor is just a simple one-bedroom apartment with a large bed, a flat-screen TV from the Queer Eye set, and some other details from the Queer Eye set actually. They've got a lot of good interiors in that set. The floor looks a bit moldy, but other than that, there seems to be nothing more to take a look at. So let's move up a floor, where we find this guy. He's camping here over the night. He's lit a fire inside, which I would advise against, but he needs to grill his fish, so I understand. And there seems to be some holes in the wall, so we can probably get that smoke out. I made this simple sleeping bag, and I think it looks cool. It really works. This guy is definitely a guy who travels a lot. This ain't his first rodeo, if you get what I mean. I like to tile my roofs actually. It makes them look a bit more realistic, and it gives me the opportunity to actually add some moss and some mold and some details. I also added a ventilation system, and that's it. I'm happy with Ray's Occult Books. This bookstore would work as a modular building. It's time to move on to the bustling city of, well, I haven't figured out a name yet, but this is the big city where everybody lives, everybody who is someone lives here. The farm settlement was represented by yellow flags, and the big city is represented by red flags. Well, not in that way, but actually, yeah, there are a lot of red flags in this city. This city was very inspired by Diamond City and Megaton from Fallout 4 and Fallout 3. If you've played those games, you know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, I'll explain. I wanted to have that look and feel of this is a highly improvised town. They really built something out of whatever they could find. Houses stacked on each other, people living out of containers and buses. This city is full of life and creativity, and I had so much fun building it. There's a lot of story elements here as well. This guy, he just got something dumped on him by this guy. I hope it wasn't his toilet water. Yikes. Here we have a big strong man taking his flu shot because it's necessary. This is the only doctor in town, but she has some help. Her Miss Nanny robot, which is a robot that helps out with medical needs. Looks like JB is looking for some help. This mechanic is happy to bring back the lights into this house. And these guys, they're enjoying a late breakfast. Here we have a lady who serves tea, and this is her tea shop. I built a comically large red mug to indicate that this is indeed where she sells her tea. Here's a telephone booth with a toilet. You need to be creative in the apocalypse. And you can even answer some calls while doing what you need to do. Here's one of my favorite houses, a really small and thin build, but with a great looking roof and a big door. It ended up looking really nice. Next to it we have Mr. Sanders' Magic Potions. I think he's selling snake oil and fooling people, but it would be interesting to try one of his potions. Here's another scam artist, the cup in the ball guy. Looks like he's been beaten up for scamming people. I had a lot of fun with all of these houses and the color schemes and the color combinations and just how to make them look improvised. This town doesn't have that much security, but that's because they have the best sniper in town. This guy is keeping an eye out for everyone and everything that could disturb the peace. In the apocalypse, everyone needs to do what's necessary to survive. If that means to be a newspaper boy delivering the latest news on the boogeyman of the Commonwealth, or spreading the good words of Talos on the town square, it doesn't matter, you do you. However, people might not prefer the latter. These people are getting really annoyed of this preacher standing on the town square screaming about some god named Talos they don't understand, when all they want to do is to do their jobs and maybe deliver a Nuka-Cola or two to the local people. This woman is just trying to clean the streets. This guy looks pretty annoyed. At the main square, people can rest up, grab a bite to eat, and stock up for their next adventure or supply run. Here we find a seafood restaurant that serves local irradiated fish, lobster, and a questionable chef. I think he's drinking on the job. I added this little cool bar counter with bar taps, and I think it looks very nice. And a gun store full of deadly options. All the fish is caught locally in the local irradiated river by very talented fishermen who's doing the best they can with what they've got, which isn't very much because, hey, the apocalypse, remember? These are some of my favorite houses because the color of sand blue and that yellow, I just love it. I added a red container on the roof of this sardine store just to get that extra color scheme in. Over here we have an old sea captain who lives his dream with his pet turtle living in a submarine on land. Lucy from Vault 33 is talking to a very shady man about doing some business and helping out. I don't think she understands that she might be signing up for a bad mission. This little boy looks scared. And that's because he sees that this man went into the wrong alley. Here we have some raiders in the big city. I don't know how they got here, but they pretty much control this part of the city. And this guy, well, he looks a bit sweaty. He's just a local businessman who wanted to get some business done. Yikes. In this city we also have a farm, but compared to the farm settlement, this is nothing. They don't really know what they're doing, so they have to trade with the farm settlement. In this city, you can even have the luxury of outdoor showers. And that was it. To summarize, this is a very interesting city that I had a lot of fun with while building. We have a lot of different details, we have a lot of cool building techniques, and it's our main city. I'm happy with it, and I think it works perfect in the big overall city. The hospital. No one wants to go there. And you know why? This place is probably the worst place you can be at in this apocalypse city. There are super mutants, zombies / ghouls, and the place is just overrun. When the apocalypse began, everyone either tried to evacuate or needed to go to the hospital. So one would think that there were a lot of zombies at the hospital, so why would you go there? Zombies and super mutants? What are you trying to do? Get eaten twice? I really filled up this place with zombies that's just pouring out when this guy arrived at the hospital. I wanted this to be a horror scene. Zombies on every floor and super mutants at the roof. These zombies were doing their best before they turned into zombies to save the military. They did their best, but they couldn't manage to save them. Not even themselves. This guy, he even lost his jaw. That's disgusting. Super mutants are green, disgusting creatures that turned into monsters from being experimented on, and they are just cooking up some human soup up there. This guy is next on turn. Looks scary. I do not want to be him. This is a gore bag. This is just bones and blood filled to the brim of this bag. Let's lighten up the mood a bit, but not really, because now we're gonna take a look at what's next to the hospital, and that's the Raider camp. Based on a red rocket in a junkyard, these raiders are cannibals and not very nice people. I built an improvised junk fence around this place, and I think it looks great. It really looks like something from Fallout. Raiders in the Fallout universe love to put heads on spikes, so I did that too. And I added some road signs to the fence and some chains. I think we nailed that look actually. I added a motorcycle as well on the side. I didn't want it to be that morbid, so I only put the happy faces on the spikes. Otherwise it would look pretty nasty. Ross the boss. Ross is the boss of this place. And this is the guy with the power armor and the cowboy hat, and he has 3 dogs. This is a guy you don't want to mess with. And here we have his friends, the Raiders. The Raiders of Red Rocket. Red Rocket is a gas station from the Fallout universe, and I really like the look of it, so I had to include it in this build. The Raiders have taken over a Red Rocket gas station, and they've made it their new home. The red on the Red Rocket really stands out, making this build extra cool. The Red Rocket I designed very easily. It's just a few snot pieces and some arch pieces, and you can probably find a nice design online. These people are sitting down having dinner, eating some sausage, some blood sausage, and yeah, they're eating people. And this man is next on turn. Just like the super mutants, these guys sure love eating people. These guys do not look like professional chefs, but they seem to know what they're doing with people. I really like this this sticker from, I think it's Batman or something like that, where it says ice cream instead of ice cream. When it comes to building raiders, I like to include a huge variety of different looking raiders. Usually mohawks and different color hairs. That's the way to go, but that girl, she got a wig. This guy is keeping a journal and drawing something in his adventure book. It's cute. This guy looks dangerous, but maybe it's the inside that counts. Maybe he's soft and cuddly. Steampunk Abraham Lincoln is chasing a rat with his improvised crowbar axe. That's a sentence I never thought I would say. On top of the Red Rocket, I placed a cage with a man in it. And yeah, that's just the way the raiders work. This guy's been sitting here for quite some time and I feel bad for him. Here we have a Mad Max inspired segment. This guy with an electric guitar just jamming some tunes on top of a car mountain. I would love to make an even bigger raider settlement and expand this a bit, because this is a bit cramped. You can't tell that it says Red Rocket behind the junkyard sign. It's a bit messy, but it looks good. Next up we have the overpass. That is the road going parallel to the city, with a road from the city going underneath. It's very common in the Fallout games that you find yourself walking on one of these. You usually find a few abandoned cars and maybe a few skeletons hanging around. This overpass or bridge, whatever you want to call it, has seen better days. It's a bit broken down. Here we have some of my own posters. I cut these out from the Lego catalog. Here we have a few custom signs that works perfect for this city, since there is a hospital and it even points the right direction. Behind the signs we have a very beautiful moving truck, and this is a Lego set. I think it's a gift with purchase, or at least it's some kind of special set. This is our lone wanderer from Vault 111, the main vault in the video game Fallout 4. He has been through some stuff together with his dog meat. It's a weird name for a dog, but it works. I got this really cool custom vault suit where you can actually choose which number you want on the back. So I got a bunch of those for my vault, for my Fallout shelter, and for some of the figures in this build. As I've said, I like to add some spiders, some rats and some skeletons to the build, just to get that nasty, creepy vibe that the apocalypse took place a long time ago. This world has been changed a lot. Underneath the bridge or overpass we have a few Brotherhood of Steel soldiers running for their lives, because they managed to wake the sleeping Yao Guai, which is a mutated bear. This is Paladin Dan's and his friend, and they are scared to their life. This is my own custom designed power armor, inspired by some other power armors online. Next to the whole Brotherhood of Steel situation and the Yao Guai, we have a beautiful nice settlement with people just living there, having a few dogs. This one dog has only one eye. They take care of all the dogs, give them dog food and just take them in. They seem like nice people, but you living under a bridge, your living condition, well, they aren't the best. This guy is getting some supplies with a shopping cart that I designed myself. I have two of these. I believe this is version 3 of these shopping carts. I like to add clothing lines to make the builds more immersive and make it feel like they actually live there. Let's turn this thing around and take a look at what's going on here. We have a fire here. This fire build is actually inspired from Lego Fortnite. Here I have painted and customized Wild Style's Apocalypse headpiece to make it a bit more apocalyptic. This city really ended up huge, with a lot of detail and fun stories. Maybe I went a bit overboard with the size, and there is definitely things that I want to change for the future. Maybe even change the layout so that you can see the city better and lighten them up in a better display way. However, that's a problem for the future. I have a lot of projects in store, so subscribe if you haven't, and so you don't miss my next big project, and I'll see you around. Thanks for watching.